There we go. Great. Ooh, yeah. You could tell a. The spot. Okay, the spot. Say it again. You got a wine story?
It's okay over here. Actually, I'm thinking about an ITM, the wine tasting ITM. Yes, my first experience of the real wine tasting was 2 weeks ago on Friday. Before I came to Australia, I wasn't able to drink wine. I couldn't. And it's a shame do not drink Shiraz in Australia. There is no better wine, I think so. Two of my friends, they decided to establish a club, and wine tasting club, just for two of them. But I'm not sure about Australia, but in Russia we have a tradition. We never drink in pairs. We always need the third person. And I was really lucky. I was invited. And both of them, they really have a good experience. Like lifelong experience. It was quite interesting for me because for me it was really the Feldenkrais type of tasting. We had the meal. They opened the wine. We waited for 15 minutes. And then they asked me how to feel the tannin. Okay, I didn't know what it was before. And where I should feel it. And for the first time in my life, I had absolutely different feeling of the wine. And it was somewhere here. I shift my attention to that part of me. And yeah, it was great. The wine was so different. And then I needed to feel the long. It means feel how it's moving through the throat and for how long. And then there are a few more parameters. Okay, because today it's not really an ATM about the wine tasting. Yes, then we were we were waiting, but obviously we talk about life and philosophy of life and a lot of things. It's like in the fire, because within just half an hour we knew about each other a lot of things without really telling verbally exactly how we lived, but we knew a lot. It's basically, yes, also we can have a fire, wine tasting fire. Right, and then we changed into the cheese and fruits, and then we tested the development of the wine. And again, we felt what was the taste in these areas, how much tannin was after, I don't know, probably I felt like half an hour, but in reality, we started at 7 and it was at 12. Okay. And then how long? Anyway, the wine was good. Thank you. And the experience, the Feldenkrais. Again, thank you to Feldenkrais. Otherwise, I wouldn't really feel it so well with that so fine differentiation.
Now, thank you, Nina. That's I don't need to tell a story. No, really, I don't. That's a nice story. Yeah, it tells you a lot. Tells you a lot. So yesterday, I said at the end of the day, could you please read the case study? I just want to check in. How many of you have actually read it? Have you all? You've read it twice? 2/3 of it. But you read it up in Sydney. Yeah, you did. Yeah. You don't remember? the ball dancing one. Oh. Well, I tell you what, it's not that long. Please go and read it again, and I'll give you some pointers here. As you read it again, or if you read it for the first time, rather than trying to give you spoilers, notice how what choices are made in response to how the person presents themselves and how they're feeling. Yeah. So when you go and read it again the second time or the first time, as the case may be, stop reading it now. No, it's just joking. Yeah. Look at that. Because that was 10 minutes enough to read again? Go and read it again. I want to... No, it is a case. It's of a, yep, real life, real cases, Judge Judy. Of course. I'll tell you why I wrote it when you come back. I'll just sit here waiting. Look at, I wrote that case study. Now, please know that I have written such case studies. Lisa has written such case studies. Ruth has written some case studies. Jenny has written such case studies. Writing these things are a part of your process of applying to become an assistant trainer and then a trainer. And you're asked to write them in such a way that it reveals your thinking. So they're a bit of a story. Try to be as honest as I can, but nevertheless, they're a construct after the fact. They're not really describing everything that happens. It's selected. What I chose to put in there is selected on the basis of going, I can be an assistant trainer. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, that kind of thing. Lisa's going, not sure how to read that one, Lisa. But so can you see that that's the intent that it's written? Does it display that intent? It tries to give you the reasons, the logic, the thinking, the social dimension, the anatomical dimension, the functional dimension. It tries to cover those things. Yes. So from a social dimension, We're talking about a lady facing uncertainty. She's temporarily lost her vision. She doesn't know whether it's going to come back or not, and no expert, which we all have faith in experts, right? At some time in our lives, we want to rely on the expertise of an expert. They can't tell her. So it's like unknown. That's like you lying on that roller. When you first lie on it, you don't know whether you're going to stay balanced on it or not. But she's in a worse case scenario than on that roller. She's like having to stand. You know those when you go to the circus and you see some of those circus performers with a huge solid ball and they're standing on top and they're walking around it? That's her. She doesn't know whether she's going to stay on the ball, fall off the ball. She doesn't know. I'm talking about life. I'm talking metaphorically. So in a funny kind of a way, a roller lesson is a metaphor for life, but it's far more predictable. It's either going to roll that way or it's going to go roll that way. So here's this woman. She's in trouble. Notice the context. It's a person in their 4th year of their training, bringing along her friend, and they're very good friends, so that she can learn from observing the interaction. So already it's a completely different atmosphere. And you see, you can read in there how frankly she talks with her. I would never dare to talk that frankly to somebody. Yeah, I just wouldn't. I don't know them well enough, but she does. So where does that limitation lie? Me. Why can't I talk that frankly? Because I think socially I shouldn't, but I could. Talk that frankly to you yesterday. Yeah. I'm practicing. And I get it wrong. Sometimes it's that's too much force. Yeah. So there's the scenario. You read that she lives on a farm. I didn't put in there that she's been practicing meditation for 30 years. So she's already attuned to what I'm going to offer her. So I'm relying on that, and I'm relying that she's honest with me. So there's a lot of things I'm relying on. Now, when she says, I feel tired, I don't want to work, that's like ding in my mind. Yeah, I can see, you read, I can see a brittle kind of a walk. That's like, when we were balancing the table on that roller, there's a brittleness. How much did I have to touch that table for it to fall off? Very little. It's a little perturbation, and it's kind of like gone. Yeah? If you are in a state of anticipation, anxiety, fear, disturbance, chances are somatically you are rigidifying yourself. That is a coping mechanism. So literally, the musculature of her trunk rigidified her. Because what happens to the possibility of falling? Rises. She doesn't have the coping mechanisms to deal with it. So you read what my intention was. How can she find a little bit more in here without encountering Zoran's seriousness? You know that about me, right? I'm either manic or I'm serious. There's nothing, no middle ground. How does she become more like this? So that every time life gives her a bit of a perturbation, she doesn't fall over. So when she agreed to play, that was it. I always, in that particular office, I had an assortment of all sorts of, for me, not children, I don't work with children. For me, balls, blocks, things, ropes, this. And so I took out a ball. And so what was our interface? What was the place of mutual contact? Wasn't person to person. It was her to the ball, and this was the constraint. Yeah. Initially, I allowed it to, yeah. And then eventually, I was holding the ball. Okay. Then there was a vision thing going on. So you saw what I did with the eyes. Now, these are all constructs particular for this person in this case. But you at this stage of your training, you could all take out the essentials of that and make it something not based on that context. I have every faith that all of you could do that. You could think, oh yeah, I could make that ATM, no problem. So that's what we're about to do. How do I reverse, not even reverse, how do I engineer that FI into an ATM? And actually my first one was true. It is reverse engineering, because I think I encountered those ideas, first of all, in an ATM. So it went from ATM to FI, and now it's going to go back to ATM, and then it's going to go, boom, boom. Can you see? It's like interchangeable. And you just all, that was my ball. It was, yeah. So you just did that. Some of you did that whole activity without putting your hands on very much at all. So you can see this distinction between FI and ATM. It's a bit fuzzy. Okay. All right. So thankfully, none of you are in that state that woman is in, right? You have a bit more resilience to you. I'm going to see, are you in that state? Are you in the state that woman's in? No, you're not. Are you in the same emotional state as that woman is in the case study? You're not. It's in the first 3 paragraphs. Don't you throw that at me. Are you? No. So, of course, you don't have to cope with what she coped. You don't need to hold a ball. You can still retain a sense of play. And we can make something out of it. All right. So you've seen I've set up the tables around the room. Now, you know that the tables are different heights. So when you choose a table that you can stand up from and sit down on without too much effort. Okay? And the one thing that I don't have with me here that I had with me in Sydney, I told you I always have a bag of tricks. In Sydney, everybody did this lesson blindfolded. Because why? Because she couldn't see. So I wanted to retain that aspect. Now, blindfolds rather than close your eyes, because closing your eyes requires a certain amount of tensioning in here, and that already influences, you know, what happens here and here. And I forgot the blindfolds. I didn't pack them. Sorry. But so we'll just have to close your eyes. All right. And once you've closed your eyes in the ATM, please do not open them until we're finished. She could see colors, shades, and outlines. Yeah. So, you know, you close your eyelids, you can still, you know, I discovered this very early on with performers. Close your eyes now. Is someone walking in front of you? They go, oh, yeah. How did you know? I said, it's like, you can do it with yourself. You can have your eyes closed, pass your hand in front. You can see the shade change. Yeah. So this is what this woman was like, but a little bit brighter than that. So, but detail, can't pick detail. And if you live on a farm and you're walking across ground that's uneven and you can't pick detail, then you pick generalities and you respond in the moment. Yeah? She didn't have that. Too brittle. So she can't live the life that she's used to. And she wants to. She's independent. So please find yourself a table, sit at the end of the table, and we'll take it from there. Sit at the end of the table, or else find yourself another table and go to sleep.